The 2026 Porsche 911 GT2 Rupees stands as one of those rare machines that doesn't merely push boundaries but treats them like suggestions. When you first walk up to it, you immediately know you're looking at something engineered with a level of intensity that feels almost unhinged. This is Porsche at its most extreme. So in today's video, we're diving deep into everything that makes this car so incredibly special. We'll explore the exterior design that looks like it was sculpted by the wind itself, the interior that manages to blend race car focus with everyday usability, the performance numbers that stretch the limits of what a road-legal machine can do, and of course the pricing and where this car fits in the Porsche lineup for 2026. The moment you approach the GT2 Rupees, the styling tells a story before the engine ever turns over. The car carries a presence that's unmistakably 911, those familiar curves, the graceful roofline, but every detail has been exaggerated for performance. Porsche didn't add design elements for dramatic effect, everything is functional, and that's what makes the car so fascinating. The massive front air intakes pull in ungodly amounts of cooling air, feeding both the brakes and the twin-turbo flat-six that sits tucked in the rear. The front splitter juts out low and wide, and you can practically feel the downforce just by looking at it. You get an impression of a car that's constantly pushing the air aside and daring it to keep up. Move around the side and you notice the ultra-wide stance, the deep sculpting along the doors, and the lightweight carbon fiber everywhere. The fenders have purposeful vents cut into them, relieving air pressure from the wheel wells and keeping the front end planted at ridiculous speeds. The wheels themselves look carved from a single piece of metal, wrapped in tires so wide it's almost impossible to believe they're street legal. The brakes fill the wheel wells like enormous golden shields, and the ceramic rotors promise stopping power intense enough to leave you hanging in your seatbelt. And then you reach the back of the car, where the GT2 Rupees announces its intentions loud and clear. The rear wing looks like it belongs on a GT3 race car, because honestly, it basically does. Huge end plates, an aggressively sculpted underside, and a stance that gives the entire car a forward-leaning, ready-to-attack posture. The diffuser is massive, the exhaust outlets are huge, and the entire rear assembly screams maximum aerodynamic efficiency. You don't even need the badge to know what you're looking at. One glance at this thing and you understand that Porsche has built a weapon. But step inside and the GT2 Rupees shows another side of itself. Even though this car is built for absolute track domination, Porsche still manages to make the cabin feel refined, modern, and surprisingly livable. The doors are lightweight and simple, with pull straps instead of big handles. The seats are carbon fiber shells wrapped in Alcantara and leather, bolstered so aggressively that sliding into them feels like putting on a piece of equipment. They're built to hold you in place through the kind of cornering force most cars will never produce. The dashboard layout stays true to Porsche's commitment to driver-focused design. The instrument cluster is familiar yet upgraded, with a mix of digital customization and the iconic central tachometer that every 911 enthusiast loves. The steering wheel is stripped of unnecessary distractions, the drive mode selector is right where your thumb expects it to be, and the entire cockpit feels like it's carved around the driver. Porsche gives you some modern conveniences, Apple CarPlay, high-res displays, a quality sound system, but nothing in the interior ever lets you forget the purpose of the car. Even the carpets and insulation have been swapped or reduced in the name of weight savings. Fire up the engine and the GT2 Rupees transforms from a piece of sculpture into something alive. The 2026 model takes the twin-turbo 3.8-liter flat-six and pushes it to a new level of insanity. The horsepower figure leaps well beyond previous generations, and the torque delivery is instant, almost violent. This is a rear-wheel drive monster that demands respect. Porsche calibrates the turbos to deliver a wave of power that continues building all the way to the red line, and the sound is a mix of snarling turbo rush and mechanical aggression. You don't just accelerate in this car, you launch yourself across the pavement like you're being pulled by a jet engine. The transmission is a lightning-fast dual-clutch PDK, and every shift feels telepathic. Porsche knows that with this level of power, there's no margin for hesitation. The GT2 Rupees doesn't waste time, it reacts instantly. On the road, the car is shockingly composed, thanks to active suspension, rear axle steering, and aerodynamics that glue it to the earth. But take it to a track and it becomes something entirely different. The grip is absurd, the braking is brutal, the cornering forces are so intense you almost need to recalibrate your senses. Every input, steering, throttle, braking, feels amplified, immediate, and pure. The 2026 GT2 RS isn't just fast in a straight line, it's engineered to destroy lap times. Porsche fine-tuned the chassis so aggressively that every component, from the suspension bushings to the cooling systems, is designed to survive extended abuse on a race circuit. And yet, somehow, the car refuses to be intimidating. It's demanding, yes, but it's not unpredictable. Porsche built this machine to be the ultimate expression of what a 911 can be without crossing the line into full-blown race car territory. As for pricing, the GT2 Rupees sits at the top of the Porsche hierarchy, and it carries a number that reflects that status. Anyone shopping for a car like this knows they're not just buying a vehicle, they're buying the culmination of decades of engineering, motorsport heritage, and obsessive attention to detail. The cost climbs significantly depending on configuration and options, especially if you add packages like the Weissach bundle that strips even more weight and adds additional carbon and magnesium components. But people aren't buying the GT2 Rupees because it's a good financial choice. They're buying it because it's a once-in-a-generation performance machine, the kind of car that becomes a legend before it even reaches customer garages. So what does all this mean for the 2026 model year? It means Porsche has once again created a car that blurs the line between what's possible and what's reasonable. The exterior looks like a rolling aerodynamics lesson. The interior balances minimalism and luxury with surgical precision. The performance numbers are so wild they almost feel fictional. And the pricing ensures exclusivity, guaranteeing that this car remains a rare sight even in places overflowing with supercars. The 2026 Porsche 911 GT2 Rupees isn't just another fast Porsche. It's a statement. It's the brand reminding the world that when it decides to build something extreme, everything else needs to move out of the way. And that's why this car isn't just thrilling. It's important. It's a marker of what the future of high-performance engineering looks like when a company refuses to settle for anything less than the absolute limit of what can be achieved.